first impressions, what do you make of it?
I think it's great, Vic. I think it's great.
All ready for the yacht?
Being brave, mate. There may be a few.
So we've got the next two on. Just check that engine bay out in a minute and you'll just see all those goodies. We've got little Newton, he's in there for the Sunday show. Yeah, it's, someone said it's got the wrong foliage in it. Wow, are you ready? I'm ready. Just back from a 4K run, so just getting back into the flow of things. Thursday morning, Wednesday left me working pretty late on all of this stuff, getting ready to hook the dash in and work out exactly what we're going to be doing. As you can see, and and as I've explained, this is going to be a tight fit, folks. We've got to shoehorn that into there, and we've got to make sure we don't disturb anything, and we've got to make sure all our cables and connectors are properly secured, running, so that we don't have to go delving behind the dash. We're going to run the cruise control up. We're going to make sure that our vac line, which is going to run from the diaphragm pump, not the diaphragm pump, the bellows, up the A-pillar, through the roof, and then the cruise control pump fits in the back. But we're going to dig out some extension vac cable, install it in, run the cruise up, actually get the speed simulator running and lock the cruise on and make sure them bellows operate just before we close up the dash. Here we go. Cruise line going into the roof now. Cruise control pipe going in. Right, I might have to adjust the exposure on this because the backlight. Whoa, the camera's wobbling. It's all going crazy. Didn't think the shell wobbled that much. Right. Every time I move, you wobble. So sorry about that. Right, okay. We're inside the cab, and a tricky little job that I just wanted to get out of the way was a vac tube. Here's the vac tube. It's actually water pipe. They call it, what's printed on it anyway, it's microbore tubing. That's going to run the vac pump rather than run the rubber tubing through. It's not as easy to thread the rubber tubing through because we're going down the A-pillar here. Let me try and stabilise the camera. I just don't think we're going to stop that from wobbling. No. You pull it through because it's easier than the rubber tube. Then, at the same time, what it is, I use this as a fishing wire to get the rest of my cables up that A-pillar, and that is the microphone for the hands-free, the power lead for the interior light, and the 5-volt switched USB feed for the dash cam and for the dash cam and the sat nav. And then there is a cable that runs the sensor for the auto rain sensing wipers. So all those cables, I didn't think they'd go through, to be fair, but I taped them all together. A little bit of WD-40 sprayed on it just to make it a bit less friction. Then pulled up on the tube I'd already threaded in, which is the vac tube or the microbore tube. And then we're now just letting them come through here like this, gently get all the cables in. Quite a squeeze, but it didn't cause a problem. And we're ready on that one. The interior light is now here, so if we undo the tape, we can we've got everything that we need. So tape, of course, just used insulation. I didn't want to use me posh cloth tape for this. Undo that, get that tube out. Surprised how much it grips on that surface area. Wow, grips pretty good. And then we'll have the cables that we need all installed. One of them jobs you just think, well, it's got to be done. There's so many. It's my own fault for building so many things. I shouldn't have built so much stuff. Blame me. Currently 9 AM, 9:30 AM, something like that. Yeah, it is. No, clock's, oh, I've not set the clock. 10:30. Popmaster soon. We'll get Popmaster on in a minute. Mikey's the one for Popmaster, he's the master. Man, Mike, the master. Right. Show you what we got here. This gooey mess now, because the WD's soaked into the tape for a nice gooey mess. Wow, it's just amazing how it grips. How boring watching me take tape off. Wow, what a gunky, gooey, horrible mess. Right, the cables for the interior light and the 5B. 5B? The 5V USB. The Bluetooth Parrot hands-free microphone, that's going to fit in the interior light. Would you believe it picks up pretty good in there? Swampy's is in the interior light and it picks up fine. The cable that runs the sensor for the rain sensing wipers, and of course your vac tubing. Vac tubing now continues to pull through, so we can connect it to the rubber tube, which is now on a T adapter going to the brake pedal vac relief switch, or the kill switch itself. I'll show you that later. We're going to now continue this run of vac tubing down into the rear passenger side, driver's side rear wheel arch, rear wheel tub. There's a cavity there, and that's where we house the pump itself, and it goes in some sound insulation, same as Ruby's is fitted, and at that point you can't hear it. So that's where we're up to. We're now just going to route these ones into the centre lamp here, so everything's coming out, then we can leave them for a bit. We're going to write all the patrons' names in the roof soon, before we apply the self-adhesive pads and the soundproofing for the roof. We'll get that out of the way as well. It's done also with the aluminium backed soundproofing material. It's going to brighten up the inside of the car, which will help with filming. It won't do any harm. It'll also stop the echo, so if we're doing any more filming in here, at least it's becoming more acoustically. See that? Can you hear the echo? That should go away soon. Catch you in a sec. Wow. Yeah, so that's where we're coming through. I'll just give you some close-up. There, and then we go down the pillar, and everything comes out here. There's our Molex to quickly connect into the loom. These three, these are to continue the lighting feed if you needed it anywhere else. So that's a copy of the centre light. The idea is that you would take that down, and then on the original setup on a Ford, it comes up through the B pillar and goes up into the roof, or in fact it comes up through the back and then feeds the centre and the rear, because we've got a rear lamp as well. So this has to be extended, and it goes down on the inner sill in its separate loom, and then finds its way up to top. So we have to build that loom and hook it in. Now I'm hoping when the dash is in, well actually no, look, when the dash is in you're going to be a bit restricted there, although the clocks are going to be out, so I suppose there'll be a big hole in the dash. Actually we'll be alright because the clocks are out, but it'd be probably a good idea now to extend these and get it over and done with, and then get that cable wire wrapped and running to the back, because it also supplies the positive feed for the boot light, because there's a boot light too, so we have to put that on. Okay, let's get on with that. Okay, the tube's through. You're in a sort of selfie stick situation, and look, Hold that on my tongue. It's after 2. Did you see that? Sorry about the craziness there. So I can test the tubes all right and there's no leaks. Look how it just connects into the rubber pickup there, which goes to the bellows. And then also, if I draw on the tube again, watch the bellows go in, then I'll press the brake pedal, and that shows you how it gets rid of the vacuum feed for the safety feature on the brake pedal. Okay, you see that? Bit of a crude demo. There's the switch. So what happens is, with the cruise control, you press the brake pedal. You don't want cruise on then, so this just interrupts the vacuum to atmosphere, lets it get vent to atmosphere, and that's a safety feature. It also, at the same time, has electrical contacts. We've covered this in the cruise build, but I'll do it again. And 2 electrical contacts as well as that. So 2 actions, and also the brake switch in the car itself. So 3 actions altogether. It monitors the brake switch of the car, it monitors the actual vac switch, and it dumps physically the vacuum as well. So that all happens in one go. So the cruise is off as soon as you hit your brake pedal, for safety, of course. So we know that that irrigation or water tubing works as a way of taking our vac through to the back of the car. So that's great. We're done there. You can see a lead here that's off. That's for the heated washer jets. We're not connecting that yet because it'll overload the power supply. And then I think that's about it for that. So that's a success. Here, going up into the roof, are the cables for the lamp. There is the cable for the auto wipers, and there's the microphone. So they're in. We've got the tweeter cables to run down. They go down this B pillar, the passenger's B pillar, A pillar. One tweeter on my side has to be routed across the top. Also, these speaker wires now need to be extended and brought down. So tweeters and the centre speakers all land in a junction box in this corner. We need to fit that next. Right, I bet this takes some time. Here's a pen. You're the Patreons. Here's your list. Okay, we're writing you on the roof as promised. Now, which way? Where do I start? Which end do I start from? Do you go that way and backwards? Oh no, I bet I'll get a split opinion on this one. I'm writing you into the roof, all the patrons that have supported me. So first of all, a big thanks to you lot for doing it. You made this possible, as you know. So I'm going to start, I don't know which way to, I think we need to read it that way. I'm going to start from the front and go backwards. Alan Crowley is the first on because you're going in alphabetical order, so by no means any preference, it's just alphabetical, but we love you all. So Alan Crowley goes in. I'll pan the camera up when I've done this. I made some schoolboy howlers along the way, but in the build, but on the whole we did good. So Alan, thanks. Now Alexander Bowker, thank you Alexander Bowker, here you go. This is going to take a long time. This is going to take ages, hold on. Better. I'll bring the camera up in a sec. Alexander Bowker. I've got to try and get it neat as well. I bet it skews off. So far the pen's working. It's not a biro. Ali Mac. Thank you, Ali Mac. Shack Attack, Ali Mac. Shack Attack, Ali Mac. Alexander Bowker.
What rhymes with Alexander Bowker? Alexander. I understand her. No, it's I'm sorry, Alexander. We understand her. Alexander the Understander. Alan Crowley. Alan Crowley. I can't rhyme you, Alan. Alan Crowley. Alan Crowley, thank you kindly. It's the best I could do. Ali Mack is in. Andrew Lander, the Understander. Thank you, Alan. In you go. Bringing you up in a sec. Hold on. So you can see. We have to keep topping the pen up. There you go. There you go. This is how we're doing it, Patreons. We're going to do like a Star Wars crawl. Okay, it's final systems test. Ignition is on and we have a speed signal being injected into the loop, so we're going to test cruise control. Here's the cruise control cable. I'll set the speed. Watch the cable. In we go. So that cable's connected to the bellows, which are connected behind the dash. And now you can hear it trying to lock the speed. Cable slowly comes out. Bit by bit as it slowly tries to match. If I alter the speed on the simulator, so there is your controls. There's the pump itself. And if we press the brake pedal simulator, boom, it's gone. Also, here's the speed coming into the speed pickup unit for the torque converter lockup. So that red shows that it's picking up 55 mile an hour. Stay there. And if we press the brake, it'll knock the torque converter lockup out. Locks it out, brakes now off. It should come back in, but with a lag on it, just stop it chattering. You can hear it clicking on the gearbox, so you can hear the solenoid going on the gearbox too. We've got the park switch relay. I can hear that clicking on the dash. Got that. Don't lose that clip. That's an easy one to lose. Put that back there. So that's the gearbox is talking okay to everything. Don't want to lose this little clip here. If we lose this clip, we're in trouble. There we go. It's on. So that's that. Tested all the rest of the systems. That's it. Really, everything's running. We're ready to go into the car. So wash wipe system's running. Auto rain sensing wipers are running. We'll set them up now. I should pass my hand in front of here and you'll get the rain sensing coming on. Where are we? Press this pedal. Can hear the wipers go. This will lock on in a sec. Once we go down on the stalk, where's that stalk? Here. Hold on, let's activate the system. That might be intermittent. That could be intermittent. Let's just see. Press the foot pedal. We should get a wash wipe system going in a sec. Probably the other way around. I think it is. That's the post wipe. It is this way. Hold on for full cruise setup on the stalk. That way. Press now and we should arm up. We'll arm up any second now. Wash wipe system armed. Arm relay's flashing. That means the wash wipe system's now armed, because you don't have to have it on by default. You pull down on the stalk, on the second stalk, the luxury stalk, and now waving my hand in front of the sensor. Speed up. All working properly. Auto light's also working. Wash wipe system all running. Everything's right. It's all good. MP3's on. We're running. We're going to put it in the car. Let's do it. Get you set up on a tripod. Watch me struggle now. Let's get this in. Forgot to show you the kick down switch. There it is. There's the accelerator pedal going up. You'll just see a micro switch on the top. That's the kick down switch. You're done. There's the bellows there. Don't forget with that. That has a 100 amp relay on it. We've not got that in stock yet. We'll do that through the dashboard. That's the washer heaters. Okay, we're ready. We are ready now.
from the start. The dash jig stood us proud. Dash now coming off. That's some of these for the dash jig. Maybe as well. Will it be heavy? What will we get? We don't know yet. How heavy this is, I don't know. Some of these cables in, probably heavy. See if we can do it. I don't know, I think I can do it. Yes, it is tricky, but we've got to give it a try. Let's go for the middle, holding in the middle. Let's see what we get. Weights off, we're free. Let's see what we get. Free so far. Okay. Really cabled. I just missed that one. Yeah. Okay. Still free. Wow. Wow. Oh. Woo. Yo, mama. Oh. Sort of rest it there. Give it a helping hand. It's kind of like a bit of it done. Another bolt. Right, I don't know if you can see me, but I'm a bit of a contortionist. Are you out there with me? Patrons, YouTubers, behold! Your Cortina City Dash is ready for delivery and installation. Fitting, free fitting. Fitting is free. We don't charge for the install. Okay. Come on. Let's start playing. How are we looking, folks? It's gonna be. We just don't want cables caught. Wow. Ooh. Okay. Keep going. Open now. Yes. We're safe. Safe in the sanctuary. Safe. Right, we're out of danger. Because it can't fall now. Those two. Those two are there. So, woo. In terms of could I lift it? Yes. And I really appreciate the offers of help, but it looks like we weren't too bad. All it's a case of now is doing a 1, 2, buckle my shoe, and do the monster mash and see where we get. It's the monster mash. It's the graveyard smash. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. See how far we can get it. This is the test now. How far back it'll go. I'll be right back with you now that the first hurdle has been overcome. We'll be right back. Okay, flat out for a day, but wiring in and all modules where we wanted them to be. So the radio's on loud, all systems are running, everything's working. So we're ready to fit the crash pad. I've got to shout because I've got a radio on full blast. We're really rocking. Dash going in there. I just dragged it across there single-handed. Took a little bit of jigging to get it in, but we're on the way to rebuilding this dashboard now, everybody. What a trip. It's been a tricky day, I must admit. What a trip. Let's get this crash pad in. So we're all secure, all our rubber insulation's on. We're tested for rattles. We're just going to grease up these points for the crash pad now. This crash pad goes in, it's had all new clips. Okay, centre bolt there, 8mm. You need one of these deep sockets to do it, to get onto that 8mm centre fix in there. Okay, but we're going to do it all right. It's all about the thought process, and we're doing good. So that's the painted crash pad, and we're going to offer it up. Let's get it in. And now for possibly the worst Arnold Schwarzenegger impression you're ever likely to hear. Crash pad's in. Dash is in. Yesterday, no filmy. Yesterday upside downy all the timey. No way was I braking for the film, change the angles. I had to get that in. It was a challenge. We hooked, crooked, crowbarred, kicked, bashed, banged, and home, we're in. It's now time to turn the switch. It's now time to turn the switch. Project Bramble began learning at a geometric rate. In a panic they tried to pull the plug. The system comes self-aware at 2:20 p.m. on the 14th of August, April 2020. Mac, get to the chopper! That was rubbish, weren't it? I can teach Arnold Schwarzenegger. The system becomes self-aware at 2020. It begins learning at the geometric rate. It sounds like Sergi the blooming meerkat. Right, I'm going to fit the subwoofer. I'm going to fit the radio today. I've done my Patreon work. We've got some brackets going in, some rattle pad foam going in on the modules. We're going to get the radio on now. We're going to test the subwoofer, as I said. We're going to do all sorts. We jacked the middle of the dash. What happens? They tend to, with the sheer weight, the dash tries to sort of bow down in the middle. So we've just jacked that. We've just kept it. It only has one securing bolt at the back here, and the whole weight of the dash kind of like hangs on this bulkhead securing bolt, which was never the best idea. And even Ruby and even Swampy, this area tends to creak. You might have noticed it on your Cortinas where you've got your centre console. There's the centre console now. It fits just in there quite nicely. But what you get, especially if you're loading it with as many systems as I have, this tends to try and move down a little bit, and it will rub on this plastic here, and you get little rattles. So I've propped that, I've locked it in place, then we fit underneath here foam cushioning just to give this an extra bit of security and anti-rattle property. It just makes it that little bit better, and more sound padding around the tunnel, especially with the torque converter spin-up noise. I'm just trying to keep that well insulated as well. But anyway, that's, as we're going to push backwards a little bit, we'll address these plastics. We're not going to fit them now, and of course I'm using this blue one in case there's any damage or scratches to it. This one's still in good order. It's just that we use this to help us on the way. So we're all good there. The good thing about it, yesterday when I fitted all this, was that the module planning has worked. So everywhere where we hoped the modules would land, they've landed. And when you brought the two halves together, whilst it was on that jig, that test jig you saw on earlier vids, you can't really have a bulkhead mocked up on the bench. You've got to wait till the car is here to do it. So you're never really sure if the module's going to be in the way of anything. For example, will the glove box actually fit? But I've had the glove box in and it fits. And the modules are so easy to get to, look. Everything's there. So if there's any need to upgrade, for example the Bluetooth, you can flash upgrade the software so I can pull the box out. The diagnostic and the speed torque converter, lock-up speed controllers, easy accessible. You've got your temperature probe, your frost warning, easy accessible. Relays that you need to get to if you have to change the fuse. On top of the relay there you can get to, they're labelled up and tagged. Everything's really worked. I'm pleased about that. We've got interior lights online now, look. We've got the interior delay coming on when you turn the ignition off. There we go. We've got the various speed, the Variomatic. Yeah. We've got things that we like. We've got wipers. We've got fog. Hang on, lights on for fog. Fog. Does that show up on there? It does. Fog. We've got, hang on, the Bluetooth device is connected. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. There's the worst Chinese accent you've ever heard. The Bluetooth device is... No. Why do I keep sounding like Sergi the Meerkat? Because the adverts have gone inside there. Why are we cracking up? Are these the first signs of madness? Stir crazy cabin fever. Whoa. Toilet rolls and cabin fever. Toilet rolls and cabin fever. Toilet rolls and cabin fever. Toilet rolls and cabin fever.
Français.
Français. Merci beaucoup, madame.
La langue sélectionnée est français. Langue français. English.
The selected languages.
The selected language is English.
Bluetooth flashing there to help us to tell us that we've got a Bluetooth hookup connected. Go on, 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 go on. If it drops out, it'll be too late. That does work.
Language. English.
There you go, Bluetooth. Okay, cigarette lighter, interior delay. Interior cigarette illumination. Boom! 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 The system's becoming self-aware. Don't do any more Schwarzenegger impressions. Give it up. I will. Okay. I'll find something like I can do. Everyone's got a potential to do an impersonation. I'm sure there's one that I can do. We'll find it. It's out there. It's in there. Okay, we'll move you in a little bit closer. We're going to fit the radio, but first, let's tidy all this mess up. There's tools and stuff everywhere. You know, that's what happens when you get carried away. Well, not that you get carried away. You're into the zone and off you go. You'll probably know this at home if you've done your own restorations. That if you're really into something, you don't tidy as you go. You just concentrate right down that narrow field of view, right down that narrow channel of pure concentration. And you know that if you stop to tidy up or anything, you lose that momentum and you lose that zone, that high concentration zone that you're in. A bit like when you're doing a chess move or something like that and you're really trying to think it through. It's ages since I've played chess, you know, and I bet you I've completely forgotten. I would really love to get back into that. But there's no time for that. It's Cortina time. Last night, to celebrate, I had 4 bottles of Peroni. Consequently, not that I get a hangover off Peroni, but I felt it this morning, and hence the not looking sharp. I'm going to have to just clean myself up. I'm going to have to tidy up. I'm going to have to do these things because I've just got. It's like when you if you watch Das Boot, the great film with Wolfgang Petersen's film with who was the baddie? Well, he wasn't really a baddie. He was the captain. In fact, he wasn't a baddie at all. Nobody was. The captain of the boat. I should know this. Anyway, he goes out from the port in Calais, which was the U-boat pen. I think it was La Rochelle. They all go out clean shaven, and throughout the course of the film, obviously, to save water, you don't shave on a sub. They all come back battle scarred and with beards, and sometimes I feel like that. What a battle. Right, let's go. Let's get the radio in. Before the radio goes in, I'm just going to talk you through the heater control setup. You'll see some lithium grease that we've liberally sprayed on the workings. You've got these controls. You've got your lower control, your motor speed, and also closes the fresh air, opens up the fresh air. Across we go, and what we're listening for is the flap. When it's on the far reach of its travel, you want to hear the rubber seals of the flap making the noise, which you can. Hold on. So that means that the range of that's adjusted properly. You can adjust them on the cables. We went down here. I'll show you in a minute how we did it. But you're just getting it so the deflection is full. If you listen, you hear that thud. And we're now in that position where we can pull the switch out, because this is how you put your boost on. clicks out like that. It won't click out unless it's in that far right position. Fan speed off, speed 1, speed 2, off, then full boost. Little ball bearing on it, it actually relies on the bezel to make the ball bearing hit the detents. So that's that one. This one here is your up and down, so to your feet or to your screen. That's done on its right range, so that's done. Then this one is that's the heater temperature control, so that's done. Okay, so they're all correct and they fit in the range of the slots on the escutcheon, so that's correct. Now this is how we did it. You go underneath, it's quite tricky, you need an Allen key. This is why we've been doing a lot of acrobatics. Down you go, and in we go. Bit of creaking because the jobby tripod's still attached. So you've got there, hold on, let's try and get you stable. Jobby's good, but sometimes he gets in the way. A lot of creaking and messing about while we set the shot up. Okay, so look at how they work. That's the to your feet or to the screen controller. Little Allen keys just at the end. Little grub screw Allen keys just at the end there. So and then the shaft. Remember we built this lovely unit on the bench. Then you just let it grip into the shaft at the right point and you set it up so that everything's just at the right position on the lever, so it's all calibrated. Like that. Like that. So that's what we've been doing. It's quite fiddly working under there. You're on your back and stuff like that. All the cables got greased. Well, I used 3-in-1 on the cables. Okay, so we did that. So that needed to be done before the radio went in. Here's how the modules are initially laying out. No problem on our speed controller there. This just needs, we're going to put them in little foil pads so that they don't rattle. They're not going to rattle there anyway. That one just wants leveling out. Other than that, we're all done. And there's only so far you can go. It's similar to a modern car, and when you start taking bulkheads out in modern cars and dashboards out, and you find these units sort of like bolted in. Obviously, I couldn't attach to the bulkhead. I could have made brackets. It's very difficult to project that far forward in your life, not in your life, but in your project life, to see, right, we're going to need a bracket there. That's why you really have to be into like blueprint designs. I think we did all right because they all landed correct, and that real run of cables went in. So on this side, they're hanging down there at the moment, but they just pop up, and then there's plenty of room on that top bulkhead to attach them. So basically there's tons of room. It's the hardest part is where the wires pass under the steering column. That's where I had a problem. It was bending the dash there because the loom's too thick to get underneath that column. Can you see? And so as I was tightening up the dash, it's actually kinking. Well, it's not kinked it, but it was, it was twisting. So I've had to push them down, pull them up, had a hairdryer on them, and eventually I got it. If I was ever to do it again, I would be wary of that, make a thinner run. At the moment it looks a bit untidy, but don't worry about that, it's fine. It's going to be really good. So now that this is done, it's safe to put the radio in because we don't need to get to the controls anymore. We can just run that radio up now, and we should be right. So I think there's the speakers, how they fitted in. We've already tested the speakers and stuff, but we want to test the tweeters now and get on with this job. Okay, so that's where we're at. Let's just check that cigarette lighter's good. Hold on, that did work before. Oh, it just wants the little grip squeezing in. That should pop out. There's a chip on the paint that was always there. I'll touch that in. Just make sure we're still on with that cigarette lighter. Should be. No, it should have popped out by now. We'll check that plug at the back of it and just make sure you can get to that plug inside here. We may have pulled that out. They're a bit funny, them plugs at the back of them cigarette lighters. They're not the best connection in the world. You can get to it.
sometimes the cigarette light's never gone wrong. That. There we go. That's it. Yeah, there's two little grip things. You can actually adjust them with a pick from inside, or you can get it on this side. Don't worry about that. This cigarette lighter is probably not the best one. We'll see if we find a better one. Sometimes when you twist them, there you go. You're back in. You just gotta let it bed in, really. So that's all right. Slide this back. We're good to go. Right, I'm going to fit the radio at last. I've been going on about it long enough, but I did want to show you those heater controls. I'm trying to keep the camera stable. It's not always easy. Sometimes you're thinking on what you're filming and you're not looking at the screen of the camera. It's hard. You've got to train yourself when you're doing these videos to rather than you look. It's like if I'm watching my hand now, my eyes are watching my hand, but really what should be happening is my eyes should be watching the monitor of my camera, not the real life picture. I should be watching it through the camera lens. You've got to train yourself to do that. That way you get a much better quality result. Okay. So that's it. We've got the jack prop still underneath there, just holding this middle dash up so that can stay. And that makes it nice and solid. No more wobbling. Okay. So we can fit this up. But we'll all to say we can do all that after we've got some music playing. I'll go and get the radio now. Okay, so here we are. One Kenwood underfloor SW11 KSC fitted and a nice loom built. We've even got a sort of product code sticker on there. I've tucked the route in underneath there, put some that protective strip on the edge to stop the cable chafing on the edge of that metal, so that's protected both sides, goes in, and it formed a handy box to put the phono connector. So if you want to get in, you can pull out, and the phono connectors are just under there. And then we take a route up into the inner sills wiring loom route, because there's no other way you could have got into it except by going backwards and up. But I think we'll be okay here. The carpet will hide that, I think. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to move it just to run under the carpet edge here where the sound deadening pad's going to go. You probably lose it on that drop there if you see. It would mean just moving that earth tag. We'll have to see when we come to trimming how that looks. It's not a big deal. There's enough length in the cable just to move it in here and then move the position of that earthing screw. It's quite a beefy one, that. Anyway, it's in, it's hooked up. Those wires now just get bunched and zip tied up because they need to be extendable down there for any diagnostic stuff. Really, we just screw them, bunch them and tuck them up, and they're done. So let's try it out. We've got its main power feed now connected up to the subwoofer feed in the dash. Subwoofer and seats feed there on the 30 amp fuse. There's the subwoofer feed, there's the heated seats feed, and they're done. So let's put you on the parcel shelf. Let's boogie. Time now for a party. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Trying to get comfy. We don't want to sit on the subwoofer, do we? Right. Well, let's power up. We should get. Now I haven't tested it, but there's no reason. I've tested the power, but I haven't actually switched this on. So here we go. I promise you now. This has not been. It's lit up. Whoa! Okay, it was out. It's on my house.
Choose device is ready to pair.
FM tuner. Line in. Music.
Okay, hello down there. Hello up here. We are going good. Heater control fascia on. If I just hit the side lights, you should see, let's just turn the fan down. You should just see that light up just about on your screen there, so we know that's working. Everything's lit up there. So radio's in, just the knobs to put on now. Then we're done there and we can move along to probably the glove box, but before we close the glove box lid up, I'll just check that the speed controller's cutting in. Although you can still get to it because you can lower the lid right down. We'll need to do that to set the subwoofer. Here it is. Subwoofer's installed. So we're getting there. It's going good. Right, let's get the knobs on here. We'll start closing up the glove box, testing the rest of the systems. I just need to connect the cruise control stalk there. Then I can activate some of the cruise control features and indeed the interior, sorry, not the interior light delay, the wiper delay. We can test the heated seats, they've got power to them now, so we're virtually done. Here's the umbilical cord for the gearbox. It will reach the gearbox just about. If I bring the engine back, it will actually reach the loom of the gearbox, so we can test that as well. Probably get it by just putting the whoops, I mustn't touch this on earth because it's live, I just did that. What we've got is a live set of wires there, they won't tape in up, we're going to take them up now. That's for the gearbox vac sensor, and we can actually hear it clicking in. That's for the vacuum switch on the inlet manifold HG pressure. This is the plug for the gearbox, so it's actually live. So we need to just take the ends up. Little schoolboy over there. Okay, see you in a sec. Cruise control pump getting hooked up, ready to check the cruise. Right, up there for now. Okay, with a signal placed into the, hold on, with a signal placed into the diagnostic wire here for the cruise, we look at the lockup box and also gives an indication whether we're receiving a signal. As I kill the signal out, you'll see that drop out. That's the torque converter speed lockup coming in as I'm turning the speed up. It also shows us that the signal's coming in for the cruise as well. So that'll light up any second with its lag time. There it goes. So that's going to tell the lockup to come on. The umbilical cord's not connected, so the T-shifter's ready to accept a lockup signal. We're also ready to test cruise. So check that this is the breakout box for it. That simulates the brake pedal. We can check the brake pedal lamp by pressing on the brake pedal. You can hear the brake pedal relay cut in, so that works. So the stalk needs to be up for cruise. You don't get any power without the stalk up. So now it's ready. We would normally activate it by pressing this horn, but this is actually a faulty horn switch. So we need to get one that actually works, but we can use the simulator to do it. So just by hitting this, and you can hear the pump. This is the pump just down by my feet. If I turn the speed, so that vac line goes through, up, round and down, and the bellows are just in there and I can see them. You probably can't. I'll try and get you in. The camera will probably autofocus up now. I don't think you can do it without the torch. Where are you? I'll get the torch. Them bellows are working, so that's cruise working. Let's try it. If it dies on the brake pedal, should kill it. Gone. You could hear the vac release then. Actually, I'll do that again. Set. And if you listen now, let's switch the heater off. Have a listen. Gone. So that's it. Right, we'll call it a day for today. It's coming up to 7 o'clock. We've done all right today. So I can't find any faults just yet. Everything's working good. See you in a sec. We'll see you tomorrow actually, but I'll keep the clips running. Okay, here we go. The fan is on, keeping me cool. With just a couple of days behind us and no filming, I just went flat out. Sometimes I just don't feel in the mood to film because I'm so heavily into it, and I'm thinking I don't really know what's going to be happening anyway to set any shots up because you're just unfolding in front of your eyes. Enough of that. Dash in, powered up, running. Hang on, let's turn the fan down. I don't know where we got to with the last clip, can't remember. But I don't think this side of the dash was in. I think we'd got up to there a couple of days ago. So now we mock up the centre consoles and just get them to line up, given that the carpet raises it a little bit, and although Ford cut out the little slots where the brackets go, you still get a little bit of, I always found them hard to push down, these centre consoles. They always sort of creak down. So I had a chance to just set the brackets just a few mil higher up. See the original line, I'm not going much further, and I just sit the carpet on the back just to give them a little bit more. I always found, especially that middle one, a little bit tight. So that gets us to the point where we're moving into the centre section. This carpet from Australia is great. You trim it to suit, it comes oversized, and then you just have this score line here. Just run the blade down there and get the carpet sitting in, and it does fit really well. It's a moulded carpet, so it's made to suit. So that's good. And then we move our way on. Subwoofer went in. The T-shifter, I'd run the cable a little bit too short on the T-shifter, so it wouldn't quite make the bulkhead connector, so I've had to extend it just by basically making an extension on the loom for this. Was just not quite long enough, so we've extended the loom, really, and that's all. And then over braided it with that cable braid, and then wrapped that with Tessa tape. Sorry, we got that far with that. So the centre console definitely wasn't on, and the wheel definitely wasn't on. I'm very pleased the way that this has turned out. I'm very pleased how the two halves of the centre console nicely joined together, and it's very straight. This can be a problem, especially if you put an extra stalk on it like I've done. But it's very centralised, it's very secure. We've got the immobiliser fitted in, the barrel lands in a nice place, the illumination over the barrel's just there. Barrel's pretty nicely lined up. I'm happy with that. That could have been a problem, especially considering we've had the bulkhead out. We've got the steering column, could have moved anywhere up or down, left or right, given the amount of welding that went in. But that just turned out quite nicely. All the electrics worked, with the exception of the clock. I've pulled a cable on that, I think. What I did with the clock is I repaired the circuit board, and there's a little link wire, and I think when I've threaded it into the dash there, I've caught that link wire, so we'll have to just take that out again. It's got to come out anyway because we've got a heated jet relay to fit. I don't know where that's gone. It's a monster relay. It's around somewhere. Here it is, coming into your view now for the monster 100 amp relay. That's so I can isolate the washer jets, the heated washer jets, which draw a lot of power. You might not want them always on all the time. So let's say there's a situation where the battery's flat. Even though they're automatically switched on by the voltage sensor in the heated screen water module, it senses the battery at 14 volts, so it tends to not switch on when your battery is low. But just in case you don't want that feature, we're going to have a switch to deactivate the jets if we needed to, and that required a heavy relay. In fact, this one's even heavier, 200 amps. This is a monster, so this is going to do it, and we'll fit that just here. Obviously when these clocks come out, we're going to fit that neatly in behind the clocks onto the A panel. Heated seats, then we've threaded the cables through here and then grommeted up. You can just see the grommet now there, so we've got that. heated seat module sits very nicely inside the centre console. Heated seat module left and right. Got these kick panel pieces which are just going in over there, they just need finishing off. Centre console itself goes in nicely. It's about 2mm back than what it would be on a standard Ford. I would say that's because of the way the dash is sat in. The dash is probably out a little bit. I would be surprised to get it as far as I did, to be fair. Right, so some rivets to go in here. We're just going to drill for these bracket rivets. The original holes are just to the right there, so we've come back a little bit. Everything's come back just a little bit as well, but it's fully adjustable. You can actually get it exactly in by just pushing up, but it is tight. They always are tight, these. Every car I've ever done, this bit's always been tricky at the last minute. Starting with Swampy, that was no heavy mods on Swampy, and even that was a bit tricky just to get it exactly right. So with that experience behind me, I've learned that it's best to just mock it up first and set your brackets. Even though they're actually built-in adjustable anyway on the little screws, they can slot, so there's plenty of movement to set it all up. So that's where we are. We're making good progress here. We'll just keep on going now, get these rivets in, and we'll give you an update shortly. Here we go. So let's carry on. Episode 37 coming to the end. Dash build. I had electrical system test, everything running good so far. All the electronics that we fitted are all operational. I've had the cruise running, the mobiliser running, the Parrot Bluetooth as you saw, all those systems looking good. Let me get on and let me get riveting. See you in a sec. Okay, here we go for rivets. On we go. Pretty straightforward. Keep your hand there, don't want to recoil it. Hit the plastic. I was very careful with the plastic. In we go. There you go. Rough. Rough. Woo. Okay, battery's now on, clamped down, and we're just mocking up the amp gauge now. Now you may remember we built that loom for the amp gauge, and we're never really 100% sure about that shunt resistor. So the cable, originally how I built it, the shunt resistor was built in up about here, which gave the range of the gauge about a 90 amp deflection. It's not really suitable other than the time when you'd use the heated jets. Now if you take the heated jets out of the equation, really you want the shunt further up to the battery terminal. Indeed, on some Cortina looms they actually bring it right to the end, because the shunt's done on the second power feed to the other side of the gauge, which is about here in the loom. So the way I had it, we were measuring across that distance, but it needs to be a little bit larger and nearer to the terminal to get the deflection that we want. So we were simulating the alternator by using the power pack here. At the moment, power pack's not putting anything in, it's actually running as a failed alternator at 13 volts. That would be an alternator fail. 12.8, definitely an alternator fail. You're looking at 14 volts coming out, decent alternator. So we're looking at the amp gauge. We're seeing a very slight deflection across, not really drawing much power. If we switch the wipers on, you can see the gauge flicks there and we get the approximate 5 amp wiper coming in, so that's looking good there. We know we have heater motor being quite thirsty on fuel, on electric. You can see it draw there. Okay, now because we've got the power pack kicking a bit of power in, that deflection will be a lot worse when you turn this off. This now can't put anything in. So now the amp gauge will show that the battery's losing its power, and you'll get deflection, especially when we turn up. There you go. We're losing as I slow the speed down. So all we need to do is measure the current that motor draws, which do I believe it was around 25 to 30 amps when we had it on the bench. We'll double check. So if it was 30 on full speed, let's go to full speed. Motor's on. Okay. with everything switched on, that gauge kit is going to go off its scale, because this car is going to be producing probably 60 amps worth of power with the subwoofer running. Let me just run through it with you. You're going to have your high beam, which is 55 watts per bulb, so you've got, call it 250 watts, 12 into 250. We did this, didn't we? Why haven't I got my calculator with me? 12 into 250s anyway. If it was 10 into 250, it's going to be 25 amp. Let's say tops 30 amps on your headlamps, 30 amps on your blower motor, that's 60. 5 to 6 amps on the wiper motor, so you're talking about 75 amps tops. Now that gauge can't just show that much, it's going to go off the scale. The only way you could do it is if you recalibrated the gauge or altered the shunt resistor position and then redid the dial face. Now I could do that if I wanted, and I could move the shunt resistor down to a place where we like and have it as a different gauge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a spare wire in the loom, and for future reference I'm going to half the distance, and that in theory should create the half the deflection on the gauge, because you're really not much of a distance. Look, this is the original loom position where it hooked in. I've just broken into it. Don't worry about me damaging this cable, because I knew I might have to open this up again. I'm totally happy about that. So it was there. So you're talking about 1 meter max of cable. So if we made that 0.5 meter, then it should be double. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add the cable in around this point here, and we'll see that you get a slightly different reading on the gauge. Okay, that's how it works. In fact, we can demonstrate that by just making a slice on the cable here now and wrapping that, because I've just gone on straight to the battery at the moment. Some Cortinas do have the amp gauge yellow lead connected straight to the terminal. It depends on the setup of the cars to where they'll put that. The further down you go, the less sensitive the gauge becomes, because what it's measuring is the voltage difference between the the positive terminal of the battery and the loading on the loom itself. So let's say if I draw a lot of heavy power out of the loom, the pins on the alternator here will start to drop, because all the power is being drawn further back in the loom. Nothing gets drawn at the battery end because nothing's connected to the loom there. It all starts to get drawn as the car begins its journey, feeding all the different things in the car, most of it behind the dash. So what happens is this cable can only carry so much power, then it starts to reduce the voltage because everything starts to draw it down. But the battery terminal will be the last thing to drop. That will hold a little bit. So what you'll do is you'll get a difference between the voltage on this terminal and further down the line as it loses its power. And the gauge hooks in to the red wire somewhere along the loom here. Then the other side of the gauge, the yellow wire, goes almost to the battery, and it can measure the slight voltage difference between those 2 points, and that's how it does its deflection. So by moving the yellow wire further along until it almost ends up reaching the other side of its terminal, the red point where you get no deflection, the more you go towards the battery, the bigger the deflection. The more you come back towards the other side of the terminal of the amp gauge, the less deflection that you get, and that's how you'd calibrate it. Now it can only be done once you've done your loom, if you're building a custom loom, which is why I'm doing it this way. And of course this helps us down there having that power supply simulating the alternator connected into the alternator's plug there. So we've proved the theory. The way that it was, the way that I'd copied it from a loom which was probably a facelift car, didn't work. It didn't create enough deflection. So going back to how the GXL was on Series 1 and 2, the yellow wire comes up almost touching the battery terminal, sometimes to just behind the fused link. So it's up to you to how you want to do it, but to get the correct setting, we're probably right on that terminal there. However, when all the systems are on, you're not going to be able to measure the full ampage. It's going to go off the scale. Now I don't think it's enough to cook it. I think the gauge can take it, certainly if you went too far you'll blow the gauge up. So we need to just establish if it can handle that amount of over deflection. Let's simulate a charge situation. The battery's been running now, but now I'm going to switch off, connect the crock lead here to the alternator, and then we're going to see, I'll crank this up to 15 volts and the amp gauge should swing the other way and start charging the battery, and we should see that on the battery, on the amp gauge. Okay, here we go. Hook that into this alternating plug. In fact, we can do it online, I think. No, I need to get a good grip or that'll melt. Hold on. Okay, I'm now hooked in, simulating an alternator, so I'm going to crank up the power. At the moment we've got a dead alternator, up to 15 volts. Hang on, switch on first. On we go, and let's watch the current go into the battery. It's charging the battery up. It's banging in 25 amps into the battery, which started to come down quite quick as it charges it up. Around 25 amps that was. It may have come down a little bit. We should show that we're charging here, which we do. Roughly the same, look. Halfway between 45, 22. So that's showing that it's putting in 22 amps, and the charger says the same. 21, just 19 perhaps, around. Not going to argue with that. Let's see if it follows up. If I go up a bit higher, I can get 30 amps into this. Okay, that's about 28 amps. It just dropped a little bit then. It's about 28 amps, guys. Okay, just over the halfway point. I'm going to accept that. That's going to give me, it doesn't have to be exactly down to the amp itself. You just need to get an idea if you're charging or discharging more than anything else. But yeah, that's all right. In fact, that's what we're up to there now. 25, 26, something like that. Bring you in so you can see what we got. Anyone? 27, something like that. 27 amps. Let's go back and have a look. Half of a 45 deflection is 22.5. We've got 27. Just a little bit over half deflection because it sits just to the left of the plus sign. So I would say that's good. I really would say that's fine. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the original GXL's terminal there, then rebuild this loom. Now we know where we are, but we'll keep another spare ballast pickup point in there, and we'll leave it underneath the battery. And in the future, at least when we've wrapped it, if you ever wanted to put a 60 amp or build your own 60 amp deflection gauge and remake the face, the dial face, we could do that. Okay, so let me do that, and then I'll solder there, rewrap this that we've damaged, then we'll go on to the next jobs, because what we're doing is electrical testing. Now the center console's in and the gauges are connected. We see we've got low fuel flashing up for yellow, our oil lights flashing up. There's no oil pressure, of course. So we're doing the final gauge pod checks. We're all running on the T-shifter. Running nicely there. We're getting our selector light coming up. So we're all good there. Center console brackets in. I'm ready to put some sound deadening down there, but what I wanted to do was get that mysterious gauge, amp gauge problem solved, and I'm so pleased that it's not a big deal. Me and Insider Andy were talking about it, and it's just a question of picking your point between the two connections that the amp gauge takes across. Basically the shunt is approximately from around the brake servo to the battery. Anywhere in that area is your volt drop along your cable run, and that's what it picks up. The further back that yellow wire goes, the less sensitive the gauge becomes, the scale is altered. Okay, so all we have to decide is, do we want to have the original scale deflection of 45 amps, knowing that we're going to exceed it at times? Certainly we will do with the heated jets. Or do we make a 100 amp deflection, but then you'll not see any minute changes, and that could be dangerous, because then it's going to be counterproductive. That gauge gives you early warning of an alternator fail. If that gauge is too or large deflection and you get small errors coming in, you're not going to see them. I'd rather see, you know, the obvious. So we could take the heated jet circuit out of the equation by not having it into the electrical circuit, but I think it's too late. I think I built it in. Yeah, it is. It's going to drop it right down on that. It really is going to drop it right down. I don't even know if the alternator will be able to maintain the power needed. Don't forget we've got the relay to take it out, and don't forget it's only supposed to be active when the engine's running and it's over 14 volts. So it basically does try and look after itself. We need to investigate the heated jets and how they work. At the moment it's all open for debate. We may just see what kind of current draw we get now as an experiment, because if I prime this washer bottle now, right, that's going to send the water through the heated jets and prime it up. Then I'm going to put the end of the pipe back into the washer bottle, and we're going to circulate the water. Then I'm going to connect the earth, which is currently disconnected on the heated jets, so that I didn't blow the power pack up or melt the loom or whatever. Now I can hook it on. We'll just see. I bet it'll have a massive spark and there'll be a huge power surge. Let's have a see what happens with that. Water in here, prime up the jets, then connect the earth to the chassis of the car, see if it sparks big time. It may not do, because the battery will not be indicating to the unit, to the sensor on the heated jets, that it's charging. So we might have to switch on the power pack to simulate it. I don't know. This is one of them things where we might only ever be able to check this when the alternator's in and the car's actually running. So for that reason, the earth from it is disconnected at the moment. Let's just see. I'll prime this up anyway. It won't do any harm to prime it up. Then we'll just have a quick see, and then once we know where we're at, I'll box everything back up and we can tidy the workshop, because I've got very messy very quick, simply because I've got myself into the zone of rebuilding the car and I've broke my own rules. I've not tidied as I've gone, so you can kick me arse for that one. But very intense on the dash. Let's just go around and have a little bramble ramble while we're on then. Very intense, a hell of a lot of concentration, a hell of a lot of work went into this. It damn nearly broke me. Yeah, it shows, and I'm pleased with the result. But it was difficult. It's so crammed, and the weakness was the middle, because the thick cable in the middle made the dash sag and bow out in the middle. So I put like a T brace piece and just braced it up like that, and I had to alter it either side, because I tried to get the dash nice and level. I think it sits a little bit down, but the crash pad's wavy. You know, I don't know, but it's measuring it, it's 5mm difference. But then again, I've got carpet in now, it's harder to double check it. The rest of the shell measurements are bang on. I've crisscrossed this just to see if anything's moved since I took it away, but everything comes back in. The door apertures are all the same, the floor pans are square, it sits the same distance off the floor. The dolly jig that I've got's a little bit uneven, and one of the ties is down, but I've leveled it all and checked it, and everything's still good. So we're all right there as well. So it's been a hell of a trip, this dashboard, one hell of a trip. But let's just let yourself feast your eyes on where we are so far with it. We're very nice. We've just got the indicator stalks to finish off. They're getting new ones, but everything's running. Obviously that clock wants that little wire resoldering on. But as I said, I'm going to prime up the washer jets, and I'm going to just see what crazy things happen with that heated jet. It's going to be crazy. Okay, here we go. Okay, I've connected the earth up to the unit, and it's pulsing off and on its own, presumably as it warms up. You can see it there. Initially it threw it right off the scale, but now it's slowing down and just taking less and less current draw. That must be as it warms the water up. So it's not as bad as I thought. It's actually okay. It's just the first fire up was heavy current on it. So basically I've clamped the earth on just with the pliers, the locking pliers. By the way, I was harsh on myself on the clock. I haven't connected a wire up for the clock on the fuse board. Underneath the fuse board there's a separate cable, blue or white stripe, and that little plug, you separately plug it on because it's a GXL that has the clock. It's separate on the loom, and you just plug it onto the bottom of the fuse box. That's why the clock doesn't work. Nothing I did, or I just forgot. So you can see as it's creating the hot water now. So really, this gauge is okay. It did go right off the scale, which I'm glad about. It means that the gauge is correct. I don't think it'd be enough to damage the gauge, because it's a deflection gauge. I mean, you'll damage them if you wire them in series, or if you wire them straight across a battery, you'll blow it up. But it would depend on really the extreme. But I wouldn't have thought that it'll just let it bounce off. I'm sure that gauge will be okay. So we should have hot water. Let me just put the ignition on. Let's get the right key, and then we should have hot water. Hang on a sec. We've got a reason why we've not got a washer pump connected. There'll be a reason. Try putting ignition on. Right. This should be hot water. Let's have a see. Let's go and have a look. I've got my foot inside.
Language.
Whoa!
English.
I've got my foot inside the car. This should. Whoa! I've blown the bloody tube out. It's hot. It's hot, all right. Oh, I say hot. It was at first. Let's just double check that. Let's just see. I've never used one of these units before. Let's see what's going on. Come on. It cuts out if the alternator's not running. I remember now. You gotta, if it senses a volt drop, it doesn't like it. It wants good power. Let's get some charge going in. Okay, loads of juice there going in. Turn the radio down. We should get, yeah, there it goes, flying through. Look, watch, charging. Listen to that draw. Wow. Wow, that's testing the power supply as well, flat out. So it is running, it just needs power. Basically your alternator's really got to be on, but we should be able to test it. I mean, you know, there's going to be, let's see if we get another pulse there, or we're blowing the power supply up, or maybe it's up to temperature. Let's try it. Foot in. Could have been up to temp. What's the power supply? Still pushing out plenty of power. No, I think it's got up to temp. Try and grab the pipe. This is tricky, folks. Yeah, it's hot, all right. It's doing its job. And now, look, charging, drawing off power. So that system works. It's just whether or not do we want a relay controlling it or not. Should I wire the relay in so we can deactivate that feature if we want, or is it worth just leaving it on fully automatic? I don't know. Leave that with me, because I've got the power relay. I think it'd be prudent to fit it and just have an isolating switch, and if there's anything wrong, at least you can cut that out of the system. Okay, so that's tested. The water's, you get it, it's quite hot for about the first 5 seconds, and then it cools down, so you're going to get, it's off again, it's drawing power. Now that's the fan cutting in on the power supply. Well, all right. Yeah, everything's working as it should. I'm happy about that evaluation. I'm happy I can box everything up now, and that I didn't, my clock does work. So box that loom. We're done with this hot water, that tube's hot. We're done with that. Now then, what should we do next? And let's say we've boxed all this back up as it should be. I think I need to test the low fuel's running. There it is. Auto wipers, they're working. I need to check you can't check the oil pressure really without oil pressure itself. Oil pressure light. I need to check the over temp switch as well. That should come on to over temp. A couple of little bits, but the main thing was to get that sorted. And now we can zip tie up these modules and start actually laying them neatly behind the clocks. And now that we know we're done there, and then we can start concentrating on pulling back a little bit into the middle, and perhaps then we'll swap across to the engine bay and start doing the brake line pipe bending. And we need to wax oil. I forget early on in this film I mentioned I'll be using the wax oil gun. I'll do that in part 38 because we've run out of time now in part 37. It's been a bit of a get the shell back. Oh, and by the way, I've got a slight leak. Oh no, I've not. It was when the tube pulled out. Oh, that started leaking there. Whoops, panic then. Yeah, so the shell came back, of course, and we started our rapid rebuilding of it on the lockdown. Luckily, most of the parts that we need we've got. Not the headlining though, that's the problem. And the vinyl roof will delay me, but I could probably get the engine in, certainly get the brake lines fitted. I've got all those parts. So in 38, let's see you then, and thanks for all your support as ever. Glad you like the shell coming back from the paint. I'm sure you'll agree that the dash has turned out very nice in this episode, and that you've had a good time watching, and that the paint's to your satisfaction, and everything's really gone to plan. A couple of days where I was tired, a few days where I had the hangover, because I tended to celebrate when things had gone right, and I'd have too many beers. For me, too many's 4, that's too many. 2's just about right, 3's okay, 4's too many. Not that I get a bad hangover, I'm just groggy the next day, as you would be. A couple of them were in this film where I weren't quite sharp as I normally am, not quite as sharp as I normally am. It's been tiring, and the lockdown thing, it takes it out of you. I've probably done more physical exercise than ever, biking, running and walking. Hope you're all staying alright at home, and you're getting through this craziness. The next time you see me, I'll be probably doing the brake lines, and we'll be pushing more forward that way. Perhaps we'll get the seats in or mocked up, stuff like that. Okay, over and out, Cortina City. Thanks for your comments. I'm getting tired now. Thanks for your comments and subscriptions on YouTube, and the Patreons as ever, including this month's new patrons. You're all in the roof, don't forget. We had that little speeded up clip. Patreons got it in the usual speed, but you got it speeded up. Everyone went into the roof, including past and present. See you soon. Thanks very much. So let's step back and have a little see, a little lay of the land as we step back for the final closing shot. There you go. Okay. I promise I'll do some tidying up. It really needs tidying up. Here we go. Kids are going crazy next door. Everyone's going mad. Cabin fever. I'm out of here. See you later. Bye. Kids are going crazy next door. They're alright, just playing. Hasta la vista. Right, we filled the flashcard up. Kevin Paul, 10 foot tall. That's where we're up to, I think. Let's have a look. Michael, where did we get up to? Kevin Paul there. Flashcard went. Kevin Paul, 10 foot tall. Kenny McLaughlin, you're going in. Kenny McLaughlin goes in. Kevin Giles, tons and tons of smiles for Kevin Giles as he goes in. Let's pan you back so you can see. Hold on, right back you go. On your back, right back. Kevin Giles went in. Kevin Smith went in. Thank you, Kevin. You've gone in along with Kevin Giles. 10 tons of smiles from me. Kevin Smith. We're in. Kevin Stainthorpe.
you're in. Lawrence, Dyke. Bramble nearly took a hike through a hedge, Lawrence. Kevin Stainthorpe, of course. Lee Holmes, our wingman. Lee Holmes is in. Lee Holmes, the man. Lee Wallace is in. Leighton Jones is in. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Leighton. We made it home because of Leighton Jones. Lee Holmes and Jones together. Lee Wallace. Les D. Mark. Things looked stark, Les D. Mark, when that car came out the hedge. Mark O'Connor, you're in. Bramble was a goner, but not because of Mark Connor. Martin Swithenbank, we thank. Thank you, Martin, you're in. Matt Evans. Matt Walker. Pizza Talker on the Bramble videos. Matt Walker, I'm a talker. Matt Evans. Look to the heavens, Bramble's been done. Michael Egan. Keen. Michael, you're in. Camera come down a little bit more now as we head this way, folks. Last one was Michael Egan. Bramble was nearly a vegan eating all that hedgerow. Michael Merry. Another Michael. These Michaels, you've got to get the letters right. They're all AELs. Michael Merry. Bramble Bushes and Berries, Michael Merry. Bramble Bushes and Berries from Michael Merry. Michael Nippard. That's a tough one. Michael Nippard. Bits of metal we did discard and offer them to Michael Nippard if you want them. Michael, we'll bring them to the NEC. Bits of metal that we discard if you want, Mr. Nippard. Thank you, Michael Nippard. In you go, buddy boy, in you go. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're out. There's a door. There's a door. Get us out to this place.
Aye, nice, fit and polished.
Right?
Oh my god, look at that queue.
How close do you use to that to get that finished?
T-Cut 2000 special with a Bramble finish.
I thought it was T-Cut 83 you used on this one.
This doesn't look good, Dave.
No, seems to have come up to
We have to get a charge on. Fuel level's not fantastic.
Ask him, see if we've got any. He's going to say go back through this queue in here. I can see it coming.
Oh mate, what's the trailer park that way, is it? Lorry Park 9A?
Alright, cheers. We'll try this. This blocks his traffic, he might know. Bramble was over in Birmingham.
Holy shit, David. What have you done?
We're talking about Birmingham.
Holy shit, David. I can't.
where did you go?
I think we need to turn right back into the NEC.
Where is the NEC?
Well, we're
Back that way?
Yeah, we've got to go right, haven't we?
Right the way round?
I don't know. Is there any here? I don't know. Oh, that's out of the yeah.
Right, get it through.
Go back in.
We're doing for 28 mile an hour. Holy on a public bleeding road in Bramble. I've got to go back that way.
Yeah,
I
go
can't
back
stay
left.
here.
Yeah, go right left past Ibis. That's where we've got to go.
Get me now, on it. No seatbelts.
Yeah.
Look at me out of here.
No seatbelts, no
Got brake
MOT.
lights. Got brake lights. Holy cow. Kick down.